Hello everybody, it is me, Ashitos Nicolitos, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. So if you are new here, welcome. I am a soon-to-be medical student. I make videos about the pre-med life, soon-to-be the medical school life, modeling in New York City, and occasionally a hair video, because that's just me. And if you are not new to this channel, welcome back. You know I love you. Okay, yeah. So today I want to bring y'all some of the tea that I've been saying that I'm going to bring y'all for the longest time, but I can finally bring it because we are at the end of the application cycle. Not nearing the end, we're at the end, right? And this means that I can finally really show y'all the schools that I applied to. I'm showing y'all the schools I got rejected to, but we're gonna be talking about the acceptances, the wait list, all of the results of this application cycle. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. I've got my handy dandy laptop here because I applied to a lot of schools and I've got a lot to share with y'all. So let's get down this list because it is quite a hefty one. Don't judge me. We'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, I ended up applying to 39 schools total, 1 DO school, and 38 MD schools. So the schools I applied to were NYIT, Meharry, Howard, Morehouse, the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences. I applied to that school. New York Medical College, NYU Long Island, SUNY Upstate, SUNY Downstate, Albert Einstein, Hackensack, Penn State, U Miami, George Washington University, Georgetown, Rush Medical Center, Rosalind Franklin, Tulane, Tufts, Emory, my alma mater, Geisinger Commonwealth, Quinnipiac, Loyola Stritch, Rutgers, Robert Wood Johnson, Drexel, Thomas Jefferson, Stony Brook, Hofstra, Brown, Dartmouth, University of Pittsburgh, Boston University, NYU Grossman, Columbia, Cornell, Mount Sinai, Northwestern, Harvard, and Yale. So I applied to all of those schools. Oh my gosh, so much. So now the question is, why did you apply to so many schools, Ash? Well, yeah, because a lot of people like to ask questions, even though it ain't none of their business. But you know what? Because I'm feeling quite generous today, I'll share exactly why I chose to apply to 39 medical schools. And this is mainly for 3 reasons. I broke it down for y'all. So first reason, fear. I'm a pre-med. I have a lot of anxiety. And in terms of applying to medical schools, I've heard a lot of horror stories, right? And just kind of like that was how this whole cycle was prefaced for me. I heard of people applying in 1 cycle, 2 cycles, 3 cycles, whether it was in my groups at Emory or my groups at Fordham, and just not having any results. So that was something that freaked me out. So that just had me keep hitting that, apply button at a bunch of different schools, unfortunately. But yeah, fear was the first thing. And on top of compounding that fear was applying for the first time. This is my first application cycle, and thank God it is my last. But yeah, this is my first time going into it, and I was also going into the cycle in the middle of a pandemic, right? And everybody's talking about, oh, the Fauci effect, the Fauci effect. Everybody's applying to medical school this year. Everybody's applying to twice as many medical schools this year. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. So that also compounded onto this fear that I already had. So before I knew it, just getting up there in the medical schools that I was applying to. And another thing is just kind of like self-confidence. I wasn't as confident in myself at the beginning of this cycle. I was just coming out of the MCAT. I wasn't sure how I was doing with the MCAT and what my score was going to be applying to schools. So I was just like, I'm going to apply broad. I'm going to venture away from home. It's going to be okay. Things like that. Second thing that caused me to apply to so many schools, budget. So in terms of my budget, it's a little bit weird because I did take a few gap years. Check out my other videos on gap years, post-bac programs, all that stuff. But while I was working on the post-bac program, I was also working to make some money, right? I worked as an EMT for a little bit and as a tutor. And this, slowly I was putting away money to save for this application cycle because most pre-meds know, and if you don't know, now you know, this cycle is expensive. Applying to medical schools is expensive, and this is why people typically don't apply to so many medical schools. Yeah, so I saved up about $2,000 for applications and about $2,000 for traveling with interviews and things of that nature, right? So that was a huge part of it. And then as soon as I found out that, oh wow, this pandemic is really throwing everything off, and it turns out that interviews are going to be virtual. Guess what I did? I took that money that was supposed to be for traveling in terms of plane rides and Airbnbs and food when I go to travel for interviews, and I shoveled that all into applications, right? So I was able to basically apply to twice as many schools because I no longer had to worry about expenses related to interview season. So that was really a godsend in that way. And just at that point in the cycle where I was choosing schools to apply to, I already went through the personal statements. I already went through getting letters of recommendation, went through studying for the MCAT. Was I going to do this all again in a second cycle if I don't get in this time of Thursday? No, I was not, right? You are not gonna catch me in this application cycle again for another time. I made it my mission that I'm going to do everything in my power to get into medical school so that I don't have to do this again. Because especially as somebody applying to medical school, you shouldn't have a plan B. That shouldn't be in your vocabulary, right? It should be you're going to get into medical school and you're going to do what it takes to actually get there. And in my case, it meant applying to a lot of schools, right? Because I wasn't sure how competitive of an applicant I was this year. So I just put in my mind, this is all I got. I'm putting all my energy, all the little money savings that I had for this application, I'm putting it all in there, and I'm getting into a school this year. So that's why I ended up applying to 39 medical schools. Looking back on it, even saying it, I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of schools. But do I regret applying to that many schools? No, I don't at all. Because through this process, I've met so many amazing people. I've learned so much. I've been able to see what's out there, and so many doors have been opened for me just from this application cycle. I'm like, I haven't even started med school yet, and already the people I've met who are offering to put me onto this opportunity and that, it's just amazing. So no regrets here. All right, now that we're done with that and the elephant that was in the room, let's get into the schools that rejected me. In some ways, it's always gonna sting, right? But it stings for a little bit shorter of a time span, I would say. But yeah, so let's get into the 18 schools that rejected me this season. Let's see, we've got rejections from New York Medical College, Tulane, George Washington University, Georgetown, Harvard, Yale, NYU Grossman, Dartmouth, Columbia, Cornell, Meharry, Morehouse, Loyola Stritch, Boston University, Emory, my alma mater, USH, which is the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences, which is basically America's medical school, the military medical school, and University of Pittsburgh, and the last one, Rosalind Franklin, right? So these were all the rejections that I got. The first rejection I got, when was that? I want to say it was probably in maybe November-ish. And then the last rejection I got was probably around March. But I must say that a few years of modeling gets you used to rejection quite quickly, so I was okay with it. And of the 39 schools that I applied to, so we've got those 18 rejections out of the way. So who waitlisted me, right? And this means that I went on the interview with them, and they're like, yeah, we like her, but not enough to accept her right off the bat, right? It's okay. So those schools were SUNY Downstate, Albert Einstein, and Thomas Jefferson. And unfortunately, I withdrew my application from these schools before actually seeing if there would have been a final acceptance rejection. So it'll always be, who knows what could have happened with those schools. But either way, those are my wait lists. And for the acceptances, which I know that's what y'all are probably waiting for, I got accepted to 18 schools, and those are Howard, Hackensack, Northwestern, Hofstra, Stony Brook, Quinnipiac, Drexel, Brown, Mount Sinai, SUNY Upstate, University of Miami, Tufts, Geisinger, Rutgers, Penn State, NYU Long Island, Rush, and New York Institute of Technology, which is NYIT in Long Island. So my first acceptance came in November, right before Thanksgiving, and that was from Howard, my first medical school acceptance, and I was so happy that day. And then my last medical school acceptance came actually not too long ago, a few days ago, and that was from NYU Long Island, right? On April 30th. Those are the results of my application cycle. Now y'all know. But what y'all don't know is the school that I am actually going to be attending, the one that I chose. Out of these 18, you can only choose one, right? And this is something that my good friend Brianna Gordon came up with. Me, her, and my other pre-med friend Sam, we came up with this hashtag YONO, because the truth is you only need one. And regardless of how many acceptances you get, you can only go to one school, right? So which one will I be going to in the summer of 2021? I don't know yet. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure that out for y'all. But I will know really soon, and I hope to get you that video super soon. But now let's talk about something else really quick. Because a common thing that I hear is like, once you get into the school of your dreams, you should stop going on interviews. Because obviously, I got into a few schools, but I continued to go on interviews until about March. I think in March was early March was my last interview. But by the time early March was around and I was going on that last few little interviews, I already had acceptances, right? My first acceptance came in November. In November, I could have withdrawn all of my applications from all of the schools, which is what some people try to tell you to do. But that only works for some people. Finances, I knew from the beginning, were going to play a large role in where I attended medical school, right? If given the choice, I knew that it would come down to the financial aid packages at the end of the day. So, even though I kept going on interviews, although I've already received acceptances, that was because you don't typically receive your financial aid packages until way later in the season, right? And we're talking, for me, I received about 90%, okay, we got 18 acceptances. I received probably like 15 or 16 financial aid packages around April 12th, 13th, and 14th, right, within those days. Keep in mind that with this new Choose Your Medical School tool that the AMC has put out, you're supposed to narrow down your acceptances to 3 by April 15th, right? So that's a tricky situation to be in, because I understand you want to drop those acceptances to schools that you are not going to go in. Like, if they give you all the money in the world and you still wouldn't go there, drop those acceptances, of course. But if money is an issue for you and they're not getting you these financial aid packages until way later in the season, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, that becomes a rough situation. So I would say for anybody who's going into this application cycle, a later application cycle, be prepared for that, because even if you submit all of your financial information the day that you're able to, back in January, the day that you're admitted to this school, you may not get that financial aid package, and you don't know if you're going to get a scholarship, if you're going to get all loans in that package until way later in the application cycle, right? Of course, if finances aren't a big deal for you, go ahead, commit to a school the minute you get in there. Good for you. I'm happy for you. But for everybody else, understand that that is a whole part of the process, right? And that can make things, in terms of timelines, a little bit difficult. So there you have it. These are my acceptances, my rejections, my wait lists, all of the tea about why I did certain things in this application cycle. And soon to come, I hopefully have a video for y'all on choosing medical schools to apply to and what that looks like and how to really distinguish which schools might be best for you. Things that I learned along the way in this application cycle. And then of course, what everybody's trying to figure out, which school I'm going to be going to come this summertime. Listen, I still got a few days to decide. I'm still trying to talk to a few schools and get some information that I need. But that video is coming pretty soon, and I'm excited to share that with you too. If you want, drop a comment, say hello to me, because I love to talk to y'all in the comments. I really do appreciate that. Welcome if you're new. If you are a regular subscriber here, you know that you're already part of the family, so thank you for coming back. Comment below which school you think that I'll be attending, because I like to see what y'all think. Yeah, so again, thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, because I'll love you forever if you do. So yeah, again, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.